Hey there, welcome back to Marketing Matchmaker. I'm super excited about today's interview because I think it's going to help a lot of you out there that struggle with copy. Copy is key and essential in marketing in and of itself. And sometimes it can be the thing that stops us from taking that step. Today I have Venchele on. Venchele, I'm going to let you tell everybody who you are, what you do, and who you serve.
Hi everyone. Thank you for having me on the show. My name is Venchele Saint Dic, and I am a writing branding strategist for my business Pathway Coach Writing. In terms of the people I serve, I have worked on several projects, ranging from people who are novice to the industry, to people who are very well experienced, and also businesses who are trying to use writing as a branding strategy.
Awesome. I love that. I think being a writing coach can also honestly be so incredibly helpful for entrepreneurs because oftentimes writing is what stops them from getting out there. They're not sure what use words to use, what messaging to use. So let's start with tell me like how you got started and how you became a writing coach.
So for me, I would say that my journey into pathway coach writing started with my love for reading and writing. So ever since I was young, like I found comfort and inspiration in books. I was drawn to the way that words could shape perspectives and ignite change. So writing became sort of like my way of making sense of the world, whether it was through journaling, storytelling, or just simply putting my thoughts on paper. But I think over time, I realized that writing wasn't just like a personal outlet. It was starting to take a life of its own. It was becoming like this powerful tool, for me to help others find clarity in their own lives. And I've always been passionate about guiding people towards their goals. But it wasn't until like I faced my own, we were talking about existential questions. So my own challenges in like finding direction, which is an ongoing thing. It's an iterative process depending on the season that you're in your life. That I realized the power of structured coaching. And I'm one of these people, like, I wouldn't teach anyone something that I haven't gone through myself. So I have a personal coach. I go through the various exercises that you can think about, to really make sense. Of the mind map of my life. And I think like, by going through coaching, it helped me find like my power, the power within me to make change. And I even think of like, I hearken back to the fact that I remember feeling stuck at a crossroad at some point, where I was unsure of my next step, like in my career, and wishing for a clear roadmap. And that's when I put, one and one together. And that's when I discovered that maybe there is a need, and or there is a niche, for my business pathway coach writing. And I knew that perhaps it was the perfect way to combine my love for writing with my desire to help others gain clarity and confidence. So,
I love that. I love that story because as a reader myself, like I devour books. It's my favorite pastime. And also just being able to implement your love of something and create a business out of it. Because I think that might hold a lot of people back, right? Like they want to create a business, but they're not sure what they could do. So I love that story. The fact is, as we're marketing our businesses, that copy and storytelling are essential to really getting your message out there and connecting with your ideal clients. So let's talk about that a little bit. Let's talk about how storytelling can really be leveraged in businesses as entrepreneurs.
I think we probably are diving like into the marketing piece a little bit. And I think that when we're talking about using writing as a branding strategy, you really want to, like typical common points, know your target art, like audience, using data and research to understand who you're writing for. Because in writing, and even for me to this day, like I still read books on writing myself, because I don't think that I'm a know-it-all, and I think there's always something to be learned in the industry. You want to tailor your language, you want to tailor your tone and your message to appeal to people's emotions and motivations. And then also to marketing, to me, if I'm going to tie it together to writing, it's really about addressing the pain points,
Mm-hmm.
really highlighting how your product or service is going to solve a problem that your audience faces that no other person can do. And I think it's hard now with the inception of AI, but it is possible, right? Because what people are looking for is structured content that's good for readability and engagement. In terms of headlines, bullet points, short paragraphs, because people's attention span is short. And then also too, people are always on the move, right? So you have to find those hook sentences to really draw them in. Um, what else? And then I think really learning to apply persuasive writing techniques, right? Because persuasive writing to me is like a staple of effective marketing. So literature reviews, as someone who's pursuing a doctorate degree in marketing research often highlights like techniques like ethos, pathos, and logos. I know I'm going to the rhetorical. I'll explain myself real quick.
Let's
To
dial
convince and
in what do
motivate
those
readers.
words mean. So break it down for those that
Right,
aren't
right.
getting
I
their
was about to tell
PhD.
you. I was about to tell you. So the ethos, it really dives into like the credibility because you want to use authoritative sources or demonstrate your expertise. And the only way for you to do that is really go to these writing conferences, read books that you wouldn't typically read, to just expand your knowledge, right? And expand your repertoire of how people are expressing their ideas and emotions. And then also how to break the rules, because sometimes you have to do that. You just have to do that. Pathos has to do with emotion. So it really is about tapping into the reader's emotions with storytelling, humor, or empathy. And then logos is the last one. It deals with logic. You want to be able to provide clear, well-reasoned arguments, statistics, and facts, to support your claims. Um, and I'm not telling you anything that you don't already know because you have to sort of integrate these elements, I believe, into your marketing copy, whether you're writing an email, landing page, or ad. And again, we're going back to the fact that you're trying to draw your audience in, right? Help them become interested in what you have to say. So so again, like it's right now we're really diving into the different steps that someone can take, to use writing as a branding strategy. But as I think the main point is that it's all about leveraging your story. That's what this
Yeah.
is about. So, you know what I mean? Not just improving your call to action effectiveness, because sometimes you can put a call to action and people still don't read the the article. But it's really understanding your story, um, and learning from others, and highlighting storytelling like in your marketing literature as a powerful tool so that you can connect with your audience on an emotional level, right? Making your message more memorable.
I love that because I think one of the things that a lot of business owners struggle with is it's the storytelling aspect. So incorporating their own voice. AI is fabulous. I love it. I use it every day. It's fantastic. And yet there is this purpose as an expert and this point where you get to inject your own voice and your own methodologies and thought processes when it comes to writing, and that's something I think is incredibly important because it makes the marketing then yours. It makes your brand yours instead of being kind of the carbon copy of somebody else.
No, that's true. And then I also think about It sort of is, it's escaping me right now. Like just like my initial journey, with writing, like when I started studying different coaching methodologies and experimenting with writing exercises, that would help individuals outline their career and life goals. There was a lot of intentionality in doing what you just shared, um, and really helping people map out, their stories, right? Doing all of these different summary matrices, but I think that seeing the impact of that process, from a marketing standpoint and from a writing standpoint, I think it motivated me to dive deeper into this field.
I love that. And I also think doing those kind of activities, the activities that you were just talking about within your own, that you help
Mhm.
people coach on, it helps them to understand themselves and their ideal clients better and their unique selling proposition, which is what makes people really buy from you. Let's be honest. It's that emotional connection we make with other
That's
people
true.
that is what turns audience members into buyers. So
Right.
what would be a tip for the audience to get started with writing?
I think for me, one of the techniques that I use that helped me a lot with my writing is, I usually tell my clients to go and look into their treasure chest. That's what I'm going to call it, not the attic, but treasure chest, and look for of pictures of them in different seasons of their lives, and create a story around that. And we're not talking about anything super complicated, by the way. Like we're talking about micro stories, right? You really write it for yourself, because I'm a firm believer, if you don't understand what you're writing, someone else is not going to understand it and someone else is not going to buy from you. So I think it's just like starting from that standpoint. And then once you finish writing these like micro stories, I find it fun to at least have like three beta readers, or beta testers. And it could be someone from your family, it could be people who are friends, but just to share those stories with these individuals, and then see and pay attention to the feedback that you receive. And I think that's one way to kickstart that writing career, or just uh, having seeing writing as a hobby, at least at first.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Um, I mean, honestly, the first step to everything is just starting. And so
It's
that's
the
a
first
really
step.
good exercise to get started. Um, as business owners and entrepreneurs, writing copy can be challenging for some, and it's the process that's important. It's the journey we go through, just like with every piece of our business. It's the journey we go on that's going to get us to that next level. So for those out there that are struggling with writing, what's the best way for them to connect with you?
So if they're struggling in terms of like my social media sites,
For social
yeah,
media or your website, what would be the best
absolutely.
way for them to connect to you?
If they need to connect with me, they can find me on LinkedIn, Instagram. Those are the two places that I typically go to. Those are my go-to places. And then also my website at www.pathwaycoachwriting.com. And I think that when they go to all of these sites, they will be able to not only see my journey from the beginning, from the inception of my business, and then what I'm up to now, right?
That's
So,
awesome. That's awesome. So if you are out there right now and you're looking for some help with writing, head over to pathwaycoachwriting.com and connect with Venchele. And I will also put all of these links in the show notes. So if you don't have a pen to write it down, head over to the show notes and you can get it there. If you are struggling with your marketing because you're not sure what to do first or next in order to
mm,
get to that next level, head over to yourmarketingmatchmaker.com and schedule a free strategy session. I promise you'll walk away with at least one actionable item that will help you to grow your business, increase your revenue, and scale your impact. Venchele, thank you so much for being on today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Until next time, make sure you're getting yourself out there. Thank you for listening to the Marketing Matchmaker podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, I would love to hear your feedback. Please head over to Apple, iTunes, and leave a review so we can hear from you. And if you are a coach, consultant, or online course creator who are looking to grow your business, increase your income, and scale your impact, connect with me at yourmarketingmatchmaker.com. I look forward to hearing from you.